Hello, welcome back to Eat Sleep Game. My name is Luke, and this is episode 6 of our lovely podcast here. I am back with Jake. How are you doing?
Yeah, man, I am sound as always. It's been a really, really nice week. Lots of sunshine for a change, and we even had barbecues and that, so that was sick.
Yeah, we're allowed in other people's gardens, so we celebrated my birthday a little bit.
Yeah, which was a nice like coincidence that it just lined up like that, which was pretty sick,
I mean, it was a year in the making. We were meant to do it last year, and then
it literally was a year in the making.
Literally
like,
was.
That's
literally
that's
was
the joke of it.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah, what about you, dude?
Well.
You've been
not
good?
too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Like I said, the weather's been nice, but it has meant that I've had a bit of trouble sleeping because I'm getting quite hot, and with my eczema, it's all fun.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, I don't feel that literally, but you know, I feel for you for that.
So sleep pattern's been a bit fun, but I've still got a bit of time off, so it's no biggie at the moment.
You need to get yourself an aircon or something, man.
Yeah, I mean, I got a Dyson fan, which is pretty good.
It ain't the same. Just get a hole drilled in your roof and get some aircon.
Yeah, maybe.
Rob the one from work. Get that one up there.
Oh, I'm sure that doesn't work.
That's
I'm
true,
sure
actually.
it just spurts out dust and makes me all itchy and stuff. Which is
well, for some reason they all always smell of feet. Have you ever noticed that? Like every supermarket, office air conditioner smells of feet.
Yeah, I think it's because they just don't get cleaned properly.
Well, yeah,
stuff. I mean, just it's all gross.
I guess that's kind of our job. And if we don't do it, then it's not going to happen. So,
well, not mine. I don't work in office, so
yeah, okay, fair.
That's all you.
Yeah.
That is all you. Today news has been a bit light on the ground. There's been a couple of more delays, like the Lego Star Wars game, which kind of sucks because it's a whole not trilogy, sorry, the whole saga. It's a whole trilogy of trilogies. It's, all 9 mainline Star Wars movies being made into one massive Lego game. And that would, the Lego games are quite fun. And we don't have a new release date for that. They are just somewhere in the future.
Do you know what? Just thinking about it, shouldn't they just cancel it anyway? Because aren't they uncanonizing the prequels or sequels or whatever? I'm so lost now.
No,
in Star Wars land.
No, all the movies are canon.
Oh, okay.
So everything.
So there's just some shit that's going around the internet, and it's like.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's probably the same people that wanted the prequels to be uncanonized. They're now trying to make the sequel trilogy uncanonized because they didn't like it. Which,
I mean, I think as far as like failures go on Star Wars, the sequels were definitely worse than the prequels.
I don't know.
Obviously, that's very subjective.
Yeah,
but...
I think the first 2 of the sequels are better than the first 2 of the prequels, but then the final, was it Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah,
is that episode 3? I think. Yeah. I actually think episode 3 was pretty good.
Yeah,
I liked episode 3.
Sick.
Like especially the fight. If they didn't cut away from it, it would have been way better. But the fight at the end of episode 3 is pretty cool.
Even the beginning was pretty good. I mean, they went with like a sort of like very little music and that. Like they built up the atmosphere just from them. Yes. Just doing their thing. There's like little musical notes here and there, and I actually thought that flight scene through space and getting onto the ship.
That was really cool. Yeah,
it was sick. And then lobbing off Dooku's head, that was nice. I enjoyed that, although it was a shame. It was a shame that Dooku went, but heyo.
Dooku was really cool.
Yeah. There was.
I hate how they kept General Grievous for longer than they kept Dooku, because Grievous was just an annoying character.
Yeah, he kind of was, weren't he? It was like Dooku Dooku was just like, yeah, I mean, he made sense. All of his
Yeah.
reasoning for what he was doing and everything just made sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you're like,
And he
I'm
was
on
really
your
interesting.
side.
He was such an
Yeah.
interesting character as well because he was a Jedi before.
Yeah.
And
Plus,
he
any link to Qui-Gon is,
Yeah,
good in my books.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
But-
that should have been. I'm really looking forward to the Obi-Wan series. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
going to be really cool.
Dude, I completely forgot about that.
Dude, they're getting like Hayden Christensen back to play Darth Vader.
Yeah, I
and
remember
maybe
seeing
Anakin.
that.
Like, I'm
Alright.
really excited for that. That's going to be really cool.
I remember seeing that, so I'm guessing that's going to be some sort of flashback things. Or it would be pretty sick though if they started like digging into the Vader comics, because some of them are pretty dark, aren't they? I don't know if you've read any of them.
I've read a few of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like the Vader comics.
Yeah, mate, they really flesh that character out a lot. Because I mean, you could watch the original trilogy and be a bit like, I mean, is he really that much of a daunting, scary bloke? I mean, they definitely nailed Vader as a scary person in Rogue One.
Oh yeah,
Without a shadow of a doubt. But watching the originals, like, it's a little bit lackluster. Obviously we're comparing that to the way things are filmed these days, whereas at the time he was a very sinister dude. I mean, they had to get 3 different humans to play him.
Yeah. One of them was from Bristol. He was something Prowse. I forgot. I can't remember his name off the top.
I can't remember any of their names.
I can only remember it because my mum met him because he used to be a Green Cross
nice.
guy.
Yeah.
He went around schools and like taught people how to cross the road properly and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like she got
Are you telling me
lifted
Darth
up on the
Vader
shoulders.
used to teach people how to cross the road in Bristol?
Yeah, what's his name? Darth Vader.
That's a madness, actually.
David
like,
Prowse. He was a bodybuilder.
Yeah. I mean,
He was born in Bristol.
that's pretty sick. Well, there you go.
Very cool.
More Bristolian pride that I can't take part in because I'm from London.
I mean, he died in London. If that's anything.
Hey, yeah, no, that makes me really happy.
He was in A Clockwork
No, wait,
Orange
does that
as
make
well.
me happy? Was he?
Yeah, he was
Wait,
the
who was he in
manservant.
Oh,
Or
sick.
a manservant. I still
Yeah.
haven't seen Clockwork Orange.
Have you not? I
No.
really recommend watching it. I mean, I know it's one of those films that everyone puts up on a bit of a pedestal, but it's definitely like, I don't know. Yeah, it's one of the films I'd say from that arc of everyone saying this film's great that I would actually say, it really is great, and all of its greatness. I mean, I love the first half of the film personally, but
Sure.
where the film really sort of shines through is its second major act, like its second half. Which, because you haven't seen it, I will not delve into it. I nearly did.
No,
but
that's fine. I mean, I've still got like, I'm off until Thursday, so I still have time. I can watch. I could probably watch it this week, maybe.
I really would recommend watching it. I mean, if you can find it for free on the Pirate Bay whatever it is at the moment.
I mean, I also have like Amazon and Netflix and a couple of other streaming stuff that it might be on.
Well, I saw something the other day that just reminded me of the Pirate Bay, because I'm so used to like, paying for things these days that I just kind of accept it. But then, like, I saw this thing about the Pirate Bay the other day, and I was like, hang on a second. I spent all of my childhood getting away with things. I pay for a VPN so that no one can track me.
Okay, sure.
Why am I not using Pirate Bay?
Yeah. I used to have a VPN. I don't anymore because my PC is just ready for games and editing and podcasting and stuff. So I don't.
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
really need one.
I'm only really paying for a VPN because I'm stuck into. I was like, oh well, I'll give it a go. Because obviously you can get the different countries' Netflixes and all of that sort of stuff. So I started like paying for it, and
that's the only thing I thought about doing.
Yeah,
but because I
didn't
stream
clock-
it mostly through my phone to the TV, I just
yeah, that's
can't be
true
bothered.
actually. But what I didn't clock was that I'd like locked myself into a contract, which does run out pretty soon actually.
Oh,
but,
right.
it was like dirt cheap. It was a dirt cheap deal, but because of the way I've done it, basically, I I can opt out and I can stop using it, and they'll take the service away from me, but I've still got to pay the money. So
Oh,
yeah,
right.
it's like well, I might as well just pay the money.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey,
Yeah,
lovely bit of a tangent there after
yeah. I
the Star
mean,
Wars news, but there isn't, like I said, there's not a lot news wise at the moment. So we are going to turn into a slightly more topic based podcast. Starting with today, we thought we'd talk about Ubisoft for a bit because it's their 35th anniversary, or it was last month. They were founded in March 1986. So I thought we would just ramble about Ubisoft for a bit and talk about some of our favorite games from them. Their first game was way back in, like I said, 1986. They made a game called Trivial Pursuit for a Thompson TO-8, which is a like computer, basically.
oh, nice.
So Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
love
fun
a bit
game.
of Trivial. I mean, I hate Trivial Pursuit. It's one of the board games that I'm not so keen on.
Yeah, I don't. General knowledge stuff is annoying because it's always like, I can't remember what. There's always one that comes out around Christmas that we play with the family, and it's the same board game or the same like general knowledge questions for the last like 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
by the time you get around to playing it now, it's probably about a decade out of date, sort of thing. Or it
Well,
asks
yeah.
you stuff about British TV, and I'm like, I don't watch TV.
I mean,
don't-
our one's from the 70s, mate. I've got no chance. I don't know what's going on.
No, no. I mean, it got to a stage where it's like, okay, I can remember this question. I'm pretty sure I can remember the answer, sort of thing. And then it's
Yeah.
not general knowledge; it's general like figuring out the game.
I mean, this is kind of cool, actually. I'm just like having a nose on the wiki of their like early releases, and yeah, you got DOS. Like, so they released a game called La Maîtrise des Ames on the DOS, right? On DOS. So I'm assuming that's just going to be like some sort of scripted word game or something.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm going to just do the goggles.
It's all just coming up in French.
Yeah, of course.
What is it?
Didn't really think that, but yeah, it's on DOS, so it can't be. It's a role-playing video game.
Yeah, that's as far as I've got as well.
Yeah. Well,
It's a
anyway,
dungeon crawler.
yeah.
So it's a RPG dungeon crawler. At the beginning, you have to create a party of 4 characters among 6 different ones: a warrior, wizard, cleric, robber, dwarf, and elf, and each one has special skills.
You know what? It actually looks pretty because there's a lot of revival for this style of game at the moment, isn't there?
There is, especially on Nintendo.
It's
Especially
pretty
on
cool.
Nintendo.
Yeah, big time. So it kind of is like a pick your adventure book sort of game.
Yeah, it is.
Where you like choose a class, choose your armor, choose your weapons, and go like that. But I mean, for a game that come out in '87, I mean, I can literally see people making this and playing this now.
I would love so many of those Stars games to get like a modern remake and remade into like a proper like modern RPG. Because a lot of them do have
like
really
a triple
interesting
A
stories.
game, yeah.
And there's a lot of interesting things they could do, and they're obviously, like I said, 35 years old. There's more than enough time where people have completely forgotten or don't even know these games exist, so they could, they could feel fresh with a modern lick of paint.
But they have a game here called Skateball as well. It's 1989.
yeah.
It looks absolutely 80s. Beautifully so. It's a shame we can't really show people what we're talking about because
No, they can Google along.
yeah,
They can Google along with us because that's
this
what
is
we're
the
doing.
Google along edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
This game come out on the Commodore 64. Big up, pow pow.
Nice. The first game, we've talked about it before, but one of the earliest games I remember playing is Rayman, which is a Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly when I played it, but that originally came out in '94 for the PS1.
94.
No, '95 for the PS1.
Yeah, 95.
I love
September the
Rayman.
1st, 95.
Yeah, that's very specific for this list.
It is, yeah.
Considering
Everything
most
else
of
is
the
just a random year, but Rayman, because Rayman's such a bang up game that I never
it
played.
is.
September 1st,
Man,
95.
Rayman, especially the Origins and Legends, the latest two, they were so good. So, and even they even made mobile games. I think Jungle something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but even the mobile games were very good. Like Rayman is so good. I wish they'd like remake, not necessarily remake, but like just do something
Continue.
with them.
Yeah.
They haven't done anything with him for a while.
The whole thing kind of like flew by me, Rayman. I just wasn't that interested in his aesthetic, I guess, because I mean, when you're a kid, that's totally how you choose a game.
Oh,
You
yeah,
see something and you're like, that looks sick, I'm gonna play it. So that's how I wound up playing Final Fantasy 8 and how that wound up becoming my favorite Final Fantasy game, just on the basis it was the first one I played. I see the dude in the picture, I was like, yo, that's sick. But yeah, no, Rayman, the Rayman aesthetic, just like the Spyro the Dragon aesthetic, didn't really appeal to me. Like, I just never, Banjo and Kazooie, big up. I was big on that.
Okay.
But yeah, nah. For some reason, even though Rayman is, I know the games are of the same sort of style, It's just aesthetically,
Yeah, and I mean, you've said before, like side scrollers aren't really your thing either.
Yeah, true.
So that would make sense. The last Rayman game was almost a decade ago. The last Rayman game was Rayman Legends in 2013,
Oh wow.
or at least mainline one,
Yeah.
which is disappointing. I mean, like the Rabbit's got a game more recently than Rayman has, with that
But that's
Kingdom
because
Battle on Switch.
we
that's
love
really good.
gimmicky things, and they're gimmicky things. Like,
Yeah.
it's a madness actually, because like the I'll get a butcher what they're called. What are those little yellow things called from
Minions.
You know what I'm talking? Yeah, minions. Yeah, I don't understand why people love them.
Me neither. I don't get why people love the rabbits either. They're literally the video game equivalent of Minions.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I don't in Kingdom Battle, they are the most likable they will probably ever get.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's even just putting Rayman in Smash, I think would be cool. Because Ubisoft and Nintendo have a good relationship. Obviously, with Ubisoft making Mario Kingdom Battle with having their characters in there as well.
Yeah.
Like they've got a good relationship. Just something would be cool.
Just
and
do
like the Switch is
something.
the perfect place for for a Rayman side-scrolling game. Or maybe it's time to evolve it. Maybe it's time to put him in a more 3D world or something like that.
Yeah.
Because there are loads of there's been loads of games recently where they've kind of taken the Nintendo formula and they've actually done a pretty good job with Sackboy from Little Big Planet, his latest game. Astro's Playroom was kind of like a little mini Mario Odyssey, and then we've just got It Takes Two that's come out, which is getting comparisons to like a Nintendo style platforming 3D platforming game. So like if anyone could do it, the guys that are pretty intrinsically tied with Nintendo at this point, more than anyone else outside of Nintendo's world.
Yeah. I guess
Rayman's perfect character for it as well.
the side scroller games aren't really the same anymore anyway, are they? Like 9 times out of 10 things are moving more towards like 2.5D anyway.
Yeah.
Which is fine, which is great. I mean, Oddworld looks awesome at the moment. which that comes out soon, doesn't it?
That does.
That's
It's
real soon.
on. It's going to be on PlayStation Plus as well, so you don't even
Yeah, I know,
pay
man.
for it.
I'm hyped for that. I'm hoping it's a download
Same.
as opposed to a stream. But
Yeah, no. It is a download.
oh, nice.
It will be. Yeah.
Um,
I'm really looking forward to that. I love the
yeah,
Upward series.
jumping back into that. But I've just seen here, and it doesn't look like they weren't the ones who made it, but probably published it. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, mate.
Oh, sure.
That was a big game for me when I was a kid. I played the life out of that.
They re-released that recently, I think.
I remember seeing something about someone doing a
I think it was
like
on
an
Switch.
Unreal project of it, because I see quite a lot of that sort of stuff. I mean, no one in particular that I was or had been following for a long time, but there's been no progress for, I don't know, I want to say about a year maybe, was an Ocarina of Time Unreal remake.
Oh yeah.
But obviously you can't play in Nintendo's pond and get away with it. They just shut you down, don't they?
So Episode 1 Racer did. It got a re-release not too long ago, and it is on the PS4,
Oh, that's sick.
so you can play it if you
Yeah,
want. It's
I
only a like,
absolutely
HD one.
will. Yeah,
But-
I mean that's fine. Great game. No, that come out in '99. I actually thought it come out earlier than that, but then I was only a kid.
Yeah, it would have been-
So my
yeah.
memory's like
Yeah,
mad
yeah.
hazy.
I mean, it would have been around obviously the launch of the movie, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe in my head the movie came out earlier than that.
Yeah, when you look back, it was like the Lord of the Rings. Like it always surprised me how early those actually came out.
Yeah,
'Cause
I mean,
they felt like it was a way. They don't feel as old as they actually are.
I think it's because over the years they've been like HDified and 4Kified as well.
sure.
Like, you can't, and obviously you had The Hobbit coming out, like that was nearly a decade later anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, unfortunate.
Well, yeah, but they could have done so well if they just made one film. I've seen a supercut actually
Yeah.
that turns it into
even
one
two,
film.
I think could have worked.
Yeah, two could have worked, but there's someone made a supercut out there, and they cut all three films down into one watchable thing. It's probably about 4 hours long, so it's still on the longer side. But when each film's about 3 hours long anyway,
Yeah.
that means they've cut out at least 1.5 of the films. And it's really good watching it like that. And they got rid of a lot of the stuff, that was just shit. It just shouldn't have existed. But yeah, it was pretty sick. But Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, I literally played that game to death. And I had no idea Ubisoft had any part in it. Obviously, it was LucasArts that made the game, but
Yeah.
Ubi.
Well, I've had a look, but I can't actually see what it was they actually did.
I feel like looking at this, it says Microsoft Windows, right? And I
maybe they
definitely
worked on the
played
PC
this.
port.
Yeah, I definitely didn't play this on a computer because in '99, I think we may have had a computer that probably shut itself when you pushed the power button. So, yeah, I'm assuming they just PC ported.
I'd assume so. Yeah. No, even on Moby Games, it doesn't say. And Moby Games are very good at.
Either that, or
That
it's
sort of thing.
possible someone's fucked with the wiki list.
Maybe.
But who
Maybe.
would do such a thing?
I don't know. It's a shame that there isn't like a comprehensive list through Ubisoft themselves.
Yeah.
But hey ho. One game I know that Ubisoft definitely made is Splinter Cell, and I'm never going to let it go. I really want a new Splinter Cell game because I love like the first Splinter Cell game is incredible. Did you ever play the first one or any Splinter Cell game?
So no, I'm just gonna say no. I have, but also no. In I never got far enough through the games to be able to say
Sure.
yes. I know that my younger brother absolutely loved off of them, but I was like, if I wanted to play a sneaking game, it was always just Metal Gear Solid for
Yeah.
me.
That's fair.
I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know what it was that put me off of it. I mean, it could have just been one of those like brotherly things. It's like, oh well, my brother's playing that game, so I won't bother.
Yeah.
Which could well be a thing, because that did happen a lot for us growing up. Like if one of us was already playing something, so we'd already be sort of like seeing bits of it that were going on, because we had we're all in one room and we've got the one TV and the one console sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if one person was playing it, then I guess you never really felt like playing it yourself, if that makes
Yeah, for
any
sure.
sense.
For sure. Or like on the other side, it is that kind of younger mentality of, well, why would I play this sneaking game when I've got this one that I already know I like, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is, probably better anyway.
When did the first Splinter Cell game come out?
Early 2000s.
And when
The
did
PS2 game. So probably around 2000.
PS2 game? So when did Metal Gear 2 come out?
Metal Gear 2 was 2004,
2001.
5? Really?
Yeah, 2001.
Oh, I'm
So
thinking
there
Metal
you
Gear
go.
3.
Yeah, there you go. This would explain probably why.
Yeah.
I did really overplay Metal Gear Solid 2. And I will happily say overplayed, because I overplayed that game.
Yeah, I loved Metal Gear 2.
I'd like complete it and then just go. Well, the thing is, now looking back at it, it's actually, in my opinion, one of the weaker of the series. But certainly when it come out, I'd like get to the end and be like, okay, I'm gonna start again, because I don't know if I got everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got hooked. So yeah, I guess that probably is why I didn't get into Splinter Cell.
I mean, Splinter Cell didn't come out long after that. It was November 2002
Yeah,
that the original one came out of. So it does make sense. You would have had your fill.
yeah,
I just remember really liking it because I remember the adverts for it, and they had like a tagline of, if you can hear yourself while you're playing the game, like the enemy can hear you as well. And I thought it was a really cool mechanic because they went like properly deep onto the the stealth stuff.
Oh, they shut you up as a little kid, and
I guess.
you sitting there like holding your controller, like, don't make a sound.
Yeah, no,
That's pretty
that is
clever
true.
advertising, actually. Like, yeah,
It was really cool, and like the way they used the shadows as well. It's like I can remember distinctly really early on. There's a bit where you're like hiding, and like there's people walking past, and it's really tense because you're like, they can probably see the glowing goggles, but they couldn't. It was fine. You were hidden in the dark and stuff. I thought like it was just really clever use of the systems back then.
yeah,
It's like making use of like dark places, because obviously dark stuff is way easier to render when there's nothing there.
oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it was a very clever game. It's one I'd love. I think they should just remake the first game. Just bring it with like today's graphical level and stuff like that. I think it could be really cool.
I'm really, I mean, we've talked about this a few times, so I won't go like too overtly into it. But remakes, I just too many.
Fair, yeah.
And that's it, because I'm not going to go further into it, because listen to one of the older podcasts if you want more opinion on that.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, when do you think Ubisoft? Obviously these days we think Assassin's Creed, really, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, you can't say Ubisoft and not talk about Assassin's Creed. I mean, it's definitely become their like poster boy, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely has.
And with good
that's gone
reason.
through a reinvention. It's way different now than it was even 5 years ago.
Yeah. I've been very
it's much
tempted
more.
actually to jump back on with Valhalla, or Valhalla, whatever it's called.
Valhalla, yeah.
Yeah. I realised right after I said it, I was like, well, hang on a second. That's not the name of the place. Why would they call it Valhalla? But there is a game. There is a game called Valhalla, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Is that
a
online one, isn't
building game. Yeah. Valheim. That's what it's
Valheim,
called.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. I mean, it's not really the podcast if I don't fuck up saying something. So.
Oh no, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, Assassin's Creed. yeah, I was hooked after the first game. Like the first game come out, and
Mm.
I wanted to know more about
Same.
it, and they didn't give me they didn't give me more of him.
When
What was his name? Altair? Altair?
Altair, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm surprised I even remotely remembered that. But then what we actually got instead with the second game was something better.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Assassin's Creed 2 absolutely. I mean, especially for it coming out, I think that, I was just in shock of how much there is in that game.
Mm.
Everywhere you're visiting,
Yeah.
you're like running around the streets of Venice. Man, I ain't ever been to Venice, but I
No.
feel like I know Venice.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember seeing like a there was like this old meme of like there's some guy that went to Venice. He's like, "Oh, I've been here in Assassin's Creed. I've been on top of that, that building and flew off of that." Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That
straight up.
I remember distinctly the I'd finished Assassin's Creed 1 and I was in school talking to friends about it, and there was like this weird conspiracy theory that you had to do certain things to like escape the room at the end. And there was, you could go into like I think it was in your room. There's like some grate on the floor that you can lift up and go through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, that actually happens in the second game. You escape,
Ah,
but
okay.
then how far through that series did you get?
Well, okay. I will just like really. So Assassin's Creed 1 played, completed, loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Creed 2 played, completed, loved it.
Yeah.
Brotherhood played, completed, like literally completed every
Mm-hmm.
single thing. Began to hate the series because I'd been doing the same thing over and over again just for the sake
Sure.
of getting that. This was back. I was a bit younger. I wanted the Xbox achievements.
Mm-hmm.
And I think me and my mate were having like a race to get them all. Anyway, I lost, but I
Ah.
finished it anyway. And
Yeah.
then there was that like midpoint game that came out. What was that? Assassin's Creed. Let's go and visit Altair. I'm gonna call
Oh,
it that.
Revelations.
Revelations came out,
Yeah.
and I completely skipped that one.
Yeah,
Just
it's
because I was,
even though it's the culmination of like Ezio's trilogy, it is pretty forget. Like I don't really remember that one too well.
I've still
I can
not
remember
played it.
Brotherhood.
I know roughly the story because when the third game was announced, actually, I got pretty like hyped back up for the series. I was like, oh, okay, we're
Sure.
going somewhere else now. And it's a part of history that in England we don't really learn about. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't talk. I don't think I can remember one time during my history lessons. I did history at GCSE level as well.
Okay.
I can't remember one time that we actually sat down and spoke about the American Civil War, which
Mm.
would have been pretty sick. I actually playing Assassin's Creed 3 for as buggy as that game was, and mate, it was a big buggy old mess when it first come out.
Yeah. It was.
It was really bad.
I remember getting the special edition of that. I've still got a couple of the collectibles from it.
Yeah, yeah, mental
I, s-
though. It was a good game.
I was really disappointed with it.
I actually really enjoyed it. But I think mainly because it was such a different take. Yeah, you think between Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed 2, yeah, all of
Yeah.
those imaginary years have passed, or real years have passed. Yeah,
Hmm.
and not a lot has changed about what the assassin is, sort of thing. And Assassin's Creed 3 comes along, and you're like, this dude running around with a hatchet, and you're like, yeah, okay, well, this is incorporating a side and an entire race of people that I don't know a
Mm.
lot about because I never had the chance to study them, as I say, like in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously
Yeah.
I could have gone out on my own to do it, but who did that when I was in school? But yeah,
Yeah.
it taught me a load of dumbfounded things about them that is probably highly inaccurate. But it was just cool, just experiencing a different a different group of people, I guess, is probably what I really enjoyed about the game.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah. I
ship
mean.
combat in it. Sorry, I know I'm going quite a bit
Oh
here,
yeah.
but if the ship combat in it wasn't great, It really wasn't. But it paved the way for what and I'm sure a lot of other people consider Assassin's Creed's like, peak point, Black Flag. Because what an amazing game that
Oh,
was.
yeah, that was.
I still
That by
rate
that
that.
point, I was kind of sick of the Assassin's Creed stuff because
Yeah.
it kind of. So by that point, it was supposed to tail off and become a modern Assassin's Creed game,
Yeah, I remember
but
talks about
they
that.
changed the plans after. I think it was three where they actually killed. Uh, damn it, Desmond.
Yeah, they killed your boy off, didn't they? I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
and it was really
That's how
anticlimactic.
unimportant he was.
Yeah, I remember enjoying the modern segments where you were actually like
Oh,
free running
really?
up a side of a building and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool, and I was looking forward to actually having that modern take, and then them actually like finishing the series because I think a lot of the issue with Assassin's Creed is that they kind of never ended it.
No.
But three, I don't know, I just didn't connect with I can't remember what his actual name was, but they called him Con. No, they didn't call him
Connor.
Connor. Did
Yeah,
they
it
call
was
him?
Connor, yeah. It
Was
was
it? Or was
Connor.
that?
Yeah, it was Connor.
Yeah, no, it was. It was.
Yeah.
It was Edward for the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't. I thought they could have done more with his heritage and stuff like that. I thought that was,
They definitely
really
should
interesting
have.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it just, yeah, it just didn't connect. I thought it was quite bland. And,
I guess
mostly
it
it was
was the
character.
change of scenery as well. Like, because you think Assassin's Creed 1 and well, we'll call it the Altair and the Ezio games, yeah.
Yeah,
They had like a certain aesthetic that they both really followed.
yeah, yeah.
And and that's why it was easy to move from one to the other. Whereas
Yeah.
like Assassin's Creed 3 come in with this whole new like atmosphere, like everything about it was completely different. Even you're still running along the top of buildings, but your little hidey holes, it's not the same, I guess.
Yeah, and I think by this point it got to the stage where it's like we need a feudal Japan one sort of thing, and we just never got it.
Yeah.
And it was just another game set in America sort of thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
And it just didn't really connect with me.
yeah. I can see it from that side.
Then like I said, Black Flag was incredible
What a game.
right up until the end where they did the whole Assassin's Creed E nonsense.
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean,
like if
it
that was
had
just a
to
straight pirate
happen.
game.
Do you know what the madness of that game is? I remember playing it. Because when I played it, actually, I just start. When did it come out? Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think I just started living
13?
on my own in down on a farm,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no internet for a while.
2012.
2012. Does that sound right? Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Yeah. So I just started living down on this farm, and oh damn, man, that's making me feel old. Yeah, I started living on this farm, and I had no internet for a while. Yeah, like I could connect my phone up to everything, but I wouldn't get a stable enough connection. Well, actually, here's something really odd. I know I'm like tangenting big time here, but I used to run a hotspot off of my phone to get all of my internet. My computer used to run fine. I'd be able to watch whatever I wanted on it. The Xbox used to struggle with most things, but for some reason I could play GTA 5 online with my mates without my internet dipping at all.
All right.
Over a mobile connection. It was just a madness. But anyway, it was the only game that really worked for some reason.
Sure.
But yeah, because I had no internet, I just I played a lot of single player games, and I got really locked into Black Flag, and I was I just got mad carried away with it. Great game.
Yeah, Black Flag was incredible. It really, really made me want.
Be a pirate.
Yeah, it really made me want that really cool pirate game.
Yeah.
And then Ubisoft announced Skull and Bones, I think it's called, which still hasn't come out. It may never come out.
Oh yeah.
And like watching the trailers, I was like, "Oh, cool! Oh, wait, you're just gonna play as a ship, aren't you? You're not actually
Yeah.
gonna be a pirate."
Oh yeah, 100%.
Which it, like I said, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I think is still my favorite of the entire series. Because from there, it kind of got, we kind of hit a bit of a downturn. Because
Yeah.
after that, we got stuff like Unity, which came out and was just an absolute mess. Technically,
So I didn't. Well, actually, I was about to say I didn't play Unity. I bought Unity again. Thank you, Steam. Bought it late, but you know, I bought Unity.
sure.
Played less than an hour of it. Realized just how not on board with it I was. And again, I think it's because in general I was pretty bored of the series at this point. Yeah, we're 6 games in at this point, 7 games in, something like that.
Yeah, there were a couple of spin-offs as well. Yeah.
Because I played the Assassin's Creed 4 spin-off, whatever that was.
Rogue.
Rogue, yeah. So I played that one. I did quite enjoy that one. But yeah, Unity, didn't even get a full hour into it, and you know, just went on Steam and was like, refund me, and they did. And then what came next? Syndicate? Is it Syndicate next?
Yes. Yeah, Syndicate.
So I've
Was
heard
the London-based one.
oddly good things about it, but I think it's like from a weird, you know, I've got it. I've actually got it on Steam, and I do intend to play it at some point because I'd like to run around old London and be like, yeah, I've been there. I fell off my skateboard there, but it be like, you know, oldie London. But that's my only interest in it. I don't really care what the story is. I just want to run around London and be like, yeah, I've been there. Oh, I've been there. Oh, look, there's Camden Lock. You know, that's my only interest.
Well, I mean, if that is your main interest with that, you might want to look at Watch Dogs, because Watch Dog Legion is set in a slightly futuristic London.
Okay, interesting.
So that might be more. I wonder how much that actually is, because it's one I was like kind of interested in because I love the Watch Dogs 2 in particular. I adore that game. It's such a great game.
So Watchdog didn't appeal to me very much, which is probably why it's flown over. Oh, they're Ubisoft as well.
Yes.
Look at that, keeping it
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's
in
not
its
what I-
zone.
Yeah.
Come out in 2020.
21 quid. That's not bad.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
£21 not terrible.
I'd highly recommend playing Watch Dogs 2 as well if you're gonna get it, because it's essentially like a techie version of Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs 2 is better than Watch Dogs 1. Watch Dogs 1 is kind of the GTA 4, the kind of super serious, quite glum, quite grey and brown open world style game. Whereas
Yeah.
Watch Dogs 2 is a lot more vibrant, it's a lot more colourful, it's a lot more fun. The characters are way better. Marcus, the main character, I love Marcus. He's such a cool character. I was kind of gutted when they showed off Watch Dogs Legion and it wasn't a continuation of Watch Dogs 2. It does some kind of interesting things because you can recruit anybody in the in-game world. They've all got individual personalities and
Oh, nice.
perks, stuff like that. You can there are people that have recruited an entire like legion of grannies, sort of thing.
To be fair, that does sound like the sort of move I'd make.
Yeah,
Me and the old girl's gonna fuck shit up.
I am still quite interested in it because, like I said, I do love the Watch Dogs series.
Yeah.
I think it is quite underrated because like it had the controversy of the Watch Dogs 1 trailer not looking quite as good as the game actually did when it launched. Which
It was the other way round to what everything is these days.
Kind of, yeah.
So the trailer looked whack, but the game was actually like pretty bang up.
No, the other way around.
Oh, other way around. Okay, so it just fell into the regular track.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the trailer was running off of a PC because of course it was. But when it came to launch, they found that like the current like consoles couldn't handle it, so they had to like tone it down a bit, and they caught flack for it.
Yeah.
which is a shame because Watch Dogs 1 is actually a good game. It's a bit too serious and a bit too drab, I think. Where Watch Dogs 2 fixed that because it's still got a very good story. It's got much more interesting characters, I think.
I mean, Legion. I'm just scrolling through Google, having a look at pictures of Legion, and being like, "Oh yeah, look, there's the shard. Let's blow that up. Get that out of my town." And there's the gherkin. I'm not a fan of the gherkin either. Like they just planted a giant dildo in the middle of London town. Like, unnecessary. But yeah, no, I mean, it looks fairly interesting actually. And I quite like this little pig head that the dude's got on it. It reminds me a bit of Payday.
Oh yeah.
Which Payday was a game I never thought I'd get into. But oddly enough, I did a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah, no. Yeah, same here. I quite like the Payday.
It's mainly for the masks. A friend of mine's got a load of their masks. He has them up on the wall and that, and cool. They look sick. Like they really look sick. And wherever he got them from, I think they are the official ones that he's bought. They've just done such a good job of them. You know, like sometimes you get a mask and it's just really piss poor quality.
Yeah.
No, these things are like, you know, the shit. They're the real deal. They're good. Basically, is what I'm saying.
I've got a pretty decent Borderlands mask from when I went to EGX.
Yeah, it's a shame Borderlands is shit.
Yeah, I never really connected with Borderlands.
Sorry, I couldn't help chucking that in.
No, I'd highly recommend checking out Watch Dogs because like you can get both 1 and 2 for what's that? It's about £12 at the moment on CD keys.
Yeah. CD keys, waiting for that sponsorship.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna tag them in the next post.
Yeah, you should.
I'm just gonna keep badgering them until they sponsor us because CD keys is my PC life. If a game comes out, I check CD keys.
Literally,
well, I check Game Pass as well now actually, but.
Oh yeah, I should probably start doing that. I still haven't, you know, after us bigging it up so much last week and me at the end being like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. I haven't put it out there. I have not, but I do still intend to.
Yeah, fair.
One day. I mean, I was playing Resident Evil 5, right? Because you know I said I'd play them all, and it's a bit of a slow slog playing that game because I can only play. I played it really, really, really to death when I was younger. Me and my mate did multiple run throughs. We did every single difficulty, and then we started playing it again and giving ourselves certain rules. And then we did the handguns only veteran difficulty. And then I used to play a lot of the whatever it's called, I can't even, mercenaries mode on there as well. So I really did play it to death. So it's always like I can turn it on for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then I have to turn it off. But you know, I'm committing because you know the village is going to be dope.
Oh yeah,
I feel it.
I can't wait for that. That's going to be very cool. Unfortunately, it's not a Ubisoft game though. So
yeah, let's get back on subject, eh? So where did we get to? We got Assassin's Creed. So
Watch Dogs was the last thing we talked about, but then the modern Assassin's Creed games I think need to be touched on because while I quite like the modern Assassin's Creed games, granted I've only played Odyssey, which is the one set in Greece.
Yeah,
which I really like.
So I thought Odyssey looked sick. I did, but I didn't realize it was going to be different to the other Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah, I really think they should have renamed it at this point.
Yeah, man.
I think they should have, because I get why they didn't want to, because obviously Assassin's Creed is a big name, but Assassin's Creed itself spawned from a Prince of Persia game.
Yeah.
So they've done it before. They've pivoted, you know, that because like when Assassin's Creed first came out, when it was pivoted from a Prince of Persia game, Prince of Persia was still pretty big.
Yeah.
So
Prince
I get
of
the
Persia
hesitation,
was
but
massive when it came out. Like, you know, it was only you telling me that it was from Prince of Persia because I genuinely didn't know that to begin with. Obviously, I made the connection between the two games when I was a kid. I was like, oh, this is very similar to this.
Yeah.
But Yeah, no, I mean the Prince of Persia games were bang up, like properly
Mm,
bang up.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, in a way, it's almost a shame that it did become Assassin's Creed, but at the same time, it paved a way for them to explore these other avenues of the
yeah,
past, I guess, which
yeah,
we
yeah.
wouldn't have had if it was Prince of Persia. We'd still be running around in the sands of time.
Absolutely. Well, whatever
Well, yeah,
a remake would probably look
the,
like, or whatever they would
I don't know, the sands of Banana
weirdly
Land.
do. Yeah, time traveling bananas probably. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I do quite like the new reinvention of the series. I do think it should be called something different, and if they wanted to do more Assassin's Creed games, to do more traditional style Assassin's Creed games, because these are Assassin's Creed in name and some very loose connections only, really.
yeah.
Because from what I've heard, there are more modern day things. Excuse me, more modern day stuff in the newer one, but it's still not to the degree it was. So it does still seem like
Again,
Assassin's Creed in
my opinion on
name.
it is they just need to drop the modern day stuff. Like it's
Yeah,
unnecessary. And
yeah,
they could easily keep it Assassin's Creed linked in doing just chucking those bits in like they had in the old games where you'd go around into the old assassin tombs or whatever. You'd find a little piece and
yeah,
it helps you to unlock a really sick bit of armor or a really
yeah,
cool weapon or something. And definitely still falls within their little RPG. I mean, this may well be in the game. As I say, I've not played any of the newer ones. But it still then keeps it within that RPG theme and setting and that.
yeah,
But you're still linking it back to the assassins, to the
yeah.
actual creed, and that keeps your namesake, not this
Yeah.
fucking
I think if
modern shite.
I think one thing I think they really could do, because in Odyssey you get to pick. I think you can in the newer one as well. You can pick male or female,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's
depending on
sick.
which you pick, the opposite is in the game, and they go down a different path.
Yeah.
I think they should lean into that more, where you don't know at the beginning, but you pick one character that's on the assassin side, and one person, the other character is on
Oh, see, that would be sick.
Templar side.
Yeah, that's a good
So
idea.
then, like, because one thing that does bug me about the newer games is how big the worlds have gotten, because they are pretty much too big. Like it would take so long to actually do everything.
Go and collect all the viewpoints. 5 days
And I
later.
remember I fell off of Odyssey quite hard because it got to a point where I was doing something, and to like the next bit of the mission I had to do, it took so long to travel to it. Because I don't particularly like fast traveling. I like doing stuff on my way.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same. I mean,
And it just took so long to get to that next bit. I fell off because they were like, "Cool, now go over here," and I'm like, "Nah."
but is it not a living world at least? Like, so a game,
Yeah, it is.
so like Skyrim, yeah. Massive amounts of traveling to be done in that if you're not fast traveling. It's a big map. It is a big map, and it's not easy to navigate it because you think, oh, just I mean, yeah, okay, there's cheap ways that you can get yourself over the top of a mountain just by spamming the jump button, but technically you have to run out of your way to get to the way that you want to go. But if you fast traveled all the time, you missed out on some of what I would consider the
Yeah,
best moments in
yeah,
that
yeah.
entire game.
See, it was The Witcher that got me like that.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. If you fast travel, you miss out. And then like playing Red Dead Redemption 2, same thing.
Yeah,
If
exactly the
if you're
same
fast
thing.
traveling, you're gonna miss so many of these interactions and
Yeah.
side quests that you wouldn't normally
To
get.
be fair though, if I actually fast traveled in that game, I might actually get somewhere in the story.
But they are. I think part of the other part of the problem for me is that they are still quite frequently released.
What the
They're not
arse
once a
arsons.
year. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
they're not once a year anymore, which has done wonders for them. But they are still once every like 2 years, and I still think, with how big these games are, And like Odyssey, they did a really good job of like updating it as well. They added new content in that year that they weren't that they didn't have a new Assassin's Creed game out. They added loads of content to it,
Yeah.
but I think they should have still given it a bit more room to breathe because they still had like a Far Cry game come out. They could be working on, like I said, a Rayman game, a Splinter Cell game, a new Mario Rabbids game. There's a lot that they do. I think they have more than enough to space stuff out a bit more and let stuff breathe because individually their games are fantastic, but it's where they release them all in like a small cluster. They'll release all of their games in like a 1 or 2 year period, and then you'll miss out on stuff like Far Cry, for instance.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the were you big into Far Cry?
Far Cry 2. I played that game a lot.
Uh-huh.
I actually really, really enjoyed that game.
Sure.
Far Cry 3, I did not enjoy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why. I really can't tell you why. And then I just never played a Far Cry game again.
Right. See, I got in on Far Cry 4,
Yeah.
which I quite enjoyed. I never finished it because, again, like so many games launching at once. But I, their games kind of overshadow each other.
Yeah.
So, like, an Assassin's Creed game will come out, and that will be the all-encompassing game. And then you'll have like Far Cry come out, and Watch Dogs come out, and multiple other things. And sometimes they are a bit similar to each other. So then I remember when Far Cry 5 came out, people loved it, but they were kind of sick of that kind of game.
Well, here's a madness actually, just based on what you're saying about overshadowing each other. Yeah, because I'm looking at this now. Assassin's Creed Origins come out October 27th, 2017, right?
Yep.
And then Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered come out March 20th, 2018. So that's only like a 5-6 month breathing space between Assassin's Creed games there. But then 7 days after that Assassin's Creed remake comes out Far Cry 5. But yeah, there's no space. And then Far Cry 3 gets a re-release in May.
Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah. And I get it. It's bizarre to me because Ubisoft games are generally of a very good quality, and they generally all sell pretty well.
Yeah.
But they're one of the arguments I've heard is like, oh, but people only tend to gravitate to one. It's like, yeah, but if you release them a bit more, with a bit more time in between,
Yeah.
maybe that wouldn't be the case. Because, like I said, like Ubisoft games are good quality, whether it be like their Rabbids Mario game or like your Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
They are all pretty good. It is just they come out in such a short space. You kind of have to pick one.
Yeah.
I would have loved to play Valhalla, but I haven't had the time yet.
Yeah, I really want to play that. Especially after seeing, because it's been out for about a year now, hasn't it? Is it about? It's been out for a while on.
Yeah, it came out in September, I think.
Yeah, it still hasn't had a Steam release though. Or has it? It might have had it now.
Has it not?
No.
Let's have a look.
I'm pretty certain that it hasn't anyway, because I kept looking for it for a while, because I really, really wanted to buy it until I found out that, no, it's not on there.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, until I found out that I'd have to get it through the Ubisoft thing, which, to be fair, I'd have to log into the Ubisoft thing anyway to play it off of Steam.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I just feel like everything else is on there, just put it on there.
Yeah. There is talk of another like partnership with Ubisoft and Microsoft to bring their games to Game Pass, but there's not been anything too solid about that.
Yeah, I mean that would be great. That would
rumors.
save me a lot of money.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
Yeah,
because like I said, there are so many. I honestly think that would be if they could get all of Ubisoft's games on there, I honestly think that would be a bigger deal than the Bethesda stuff,
Yeah.
because Bethesda's quality, it is quite up and down. Like they're a bit all over the place. But stuff like Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, Far Cry, Rayman games, all the Splinter Cell games, they're all of a pretty good quality on the whole.
Yeah.
And they are super popular
Yeah.
as well.
And the South Park games as well, they were
South Park.
They were good. I mean, I never got to. I think I only played the Stick of Truth anyway. Is it?
Yeah,
Whichever
same.
one come out
Yeah.
first. And I
Yeah.
didn't even complete that either. But
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I loved that. Stick of Truth was
I
great.
kept
That
meaning
got
to
me
go
into
back to
turn-based
it.
games.
Yeah, I kept meaning to go back to it, but never really did. But yeah, it just played into the South Parkness
Yeah.
perfectly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like you say, they games of really good quality. Child of Light, right? So that's Ubisoft, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I've always wanted to play that game. I've always thought it looks pretty sick, and I've never heard anything bad about it. I've not heard much about it, admittedly, but I know a few people who played it, but it looks super interesting, So yeah, Ubisoft, they just released too much. It's like you say, like by the time you've seen one thing, you've already forgotten about it because something else has already taken its place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to your point, I'm looking at it here, and we had, what have we got? We've got Splinter Cell Blacklist, August 20th, and then not even a month later, Rayman Legends comes out, which granted is a very different game, but they're still very good games. And then again, not long after, there's a Just Dance game, which always does very well.
Yeah.
And then Black Flag comes out in late October. So within, 3-4 months, there were 4 fairly big and fairly popular games from the same developer. And then I don't know if they were split up a lot more. I really think they could do a lot more. I mean, Stick of Truth came out early March 2014.
Yeah.
The original Watch Dogs comes out in May.
That 2014. Why you gotta say that?
And then there's another, again, 2014. We had another Just Dance.
Yeah.
Another Assassin's Creed. So Assassin's Creed Rogue and Assassin's Creed Unity came on the exact same day.
I mean, let's be real, yeah. The Just Dance games, they could literally just be releasing these as updates for the first Just Dance game. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think they did for maybe not the last one, but the one before.
Yeah.
It was an all-encompassing Just Dance game with all the songs and stuff like that came out.
Oddly, Anno, because they do the Anno games as well, don't they? I've always been
Yes.
I've always been interested to play the Anno games. Kind of seems like it's a little bit up my street. I'm a big fan of the Warhammer series, so it's like sort of city builder strategy based shit. It looks sick, but again, it's another thing that they just keep pumping, don't they? It's like it's nowhere near as frequently as the rest of it, but
Sure.
they'll whack out another one of them every couple of years.
Yeah.
Guess it's fine.
It is frustrating because it's one of those where I do actually want to play each of these individual franchises. Like, I do want to get back into Assassin's Creed. I do want to fully get into Far Cry. I want to play the new Watch Dogs, but they all, like I said, they overshadow each other. By the time you've realized that Far Cry's coming out, Assassin's Creed is the big game that's already out, sort of thing, and then Legion kind of whimpered.
Yeah.
When it came out, it didn't really do anything, unfortunately. It is just frustrating because, like I said, it's not even a case that they have to be they're a small indie dev where they have to be pumping out games to hope that one of them hits out.
Yeah.
These are all very, very popular franchises. They're all very good quality games. And it is, even like you said, the smaller stuff like Anno, which isn't something that they push as hard, does have a following.
Oh yeah.
Or like you said, like something like Rainbow Six Siege. It doesn't really when it came out, it kind of, granted it was a much different game back then, but it did kind of just get squished in between what Assassin's Creed Syndicate came out in the November, Siege came out like 3 weeks later, and then there was a Just Dance that came out after that. There was another Assassin's Creed Chronicle after that, and another one.
Man, they do have pretty
Far Cry
big teams,
Primal.
don't they? Like they are literally
They do.
all over the
They
world.
do.
So,
They do.
You know,
Yeah.
so-
It is just a weird, like, they like to flood the market at certain points
Yeah.
to make sure everyone's playing a Ubisoft game.
yeah.
But I genuinely think they could do that without flooding the market because, like I said, their games are pretty
man.
good.
I mean,
Like Valhalla is a perfect example of that. I don't think there was there much that came out alongside Valhalla.
it was a bit of a weird year, to be fair.
It was. It absolutely was. Where is Valhalla? I can't see it. There it is. So yeah, Watch Dogs. Ah, man, it's exactly what I'm talking about. So
Yeah, November 12th, Valhalla, and then wait,
the exact same day.
yeah, the exact same day. I was like, hang on, am I reading
Oh, wait,
this
no,
right?
sorry.
What? That's
So
the PlayStation
yeah, Watch
5
Dogs
release.
Legion
Yeah.
came out in October,
Yeah,
and then a week and a half later, Valhalla comes out.
yeah,
Like, give it some space, let it breathe. I get that Valhalla did way better than Legion did, but
yeah.
give it some breathing space. Like, unfortunately, Legion did have a bit of a rough development time.
Yeah.
There were a lot of changes and a lot of issues.
To be fair,
But-
actually, I think they was quite clever in waiting until 2020 to release a Viking Norse-based game because it was enough time for Skyrim to repetitively release and for people to get bored enough of it to stop playing it. So actually having a refreshing take on an aesthetic that they already know that we all loved. Yeah, actually releasing that game this year was a good idea. Well, last year. I don't know. It's confusing. 2020 didn't exist.
No, it's a weird like amalgamation year.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a very long 2019.
Yeah. 2019 part 2.
Yeah. And I mean, like, at the minute, we know of, like, there's a new, like, VR Assassin's Creed they're working on, Beyond Good and Evil 2, Skull and Bones, Far Cry, the Prince of Persia remake,
You can't
a new
say
Rainbow Six
Skull and
Siege.
Bones. I don't think that actually counts, does it?
Wow.
Are they making it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if, because I don't think we've actually seen anything of that game in a long while.
Nah.
But even then, like, we know of a fair few games that they're already working on that is meant to be coming out within like this year or this kind of financial period sort of thing.
Yeah.
And granted, we don't know when Beyond Good and Evil 2 is coming. It sounds like they're still fairly early on that. Far Cry 6. Far Cry 6 is a bit odd because that was meant to be coming relatively soon, and then it just kind of got that it will be coming out at some point.
Yeah.
There isn't a date attached to it now.
Maybe they
So-
realised they'd hit a cyberpunk and was like, hey, we should probably do something and fix this.
Yeah, maybe they, because I can't remember if they actually said why it was delayed.
God knows.
Yeah, it's just COVID stuff.
Yeah.
They've said actually.
Just what I've just said, cyberpunk. They just had their first like massive patch, didn't they?
They did, yeah. It had like over 500 fixes, and it's caused more problems. Because of course it has.
Classic. Yes. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I honestly think, to a degree, that's also helped Ubisoft in a big way because Valhalla got moved around a couple of times to try and avoid Cyberpunk's release date.
Yeah.
Because granted, they're not the same aesthetic, but they are similar in that they're big open
Well,
RPGs.
they're both games that realistically the developers want us to spend a lot of time inside of.
Absolutely,
So yeah,
absolutely.
you did.
And like Valhalla got a lot of Witcher 3 comparisons when it
No,
launched.
really. It had a lot of bugs and issues, didn't it, when it first come out? Especially like the PC port. I remember that because
Sure.
it just basically looked shit.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah,
no two ways to put it. I know. A lot of the time they kind of oddly struggle to make PC ports of a lot of games,
yeah,
which I always find a bit weird because they make the games on PCs. But anyway,
yeah,
it's what
yeah.
it is.
Yeah, and especially these days. I mean, like it was something we talked about last week with Game Pass, where I think it was Near Automata we talked about, and Microsoft have brought in a specific like port team to fix that game because on Steam apparently it does not run well at all.
Yeah.
And there's a big fuss. It's like, but if there are those kind of people out there, how are they not included in like how does every big publisher not have a team like that can work these kinks out?
Yeah, it just makes sense. Like, I get it. Yeah, making console specific things, it's always going to be a thing. Although we are sort of moving away from it, but that war, that Sony and Microsoft war, PlayStation, Xbox, it's a big selling point for their consoles. Like, why neither side would ever want to really drop that because it does shift units. Like, hey man, what console are you going to get? And I remember that question between PlayStation 2 to PS3, Xbox 360 era. Yeah, virtually no one had an Xbox Classic. Me and my mate were some of the only people I knew that had Xbox Classics. And
Yeah,
we
yeah.
only had them because there was a few games that only came out on the Xbox Classic, such as Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. As one example.
Yeah.
So we had both. I had a PlayStation 2 and an Xbox Classic, but I didn't get the Xbox
nice.
Classic until like very close to the end of its lifespan.
I mean, it wasn't actually out that long
Nah, not really.
either. It was only like a 3-4 year deal.
But yeah, no, you need the exclusives. It's always going to be a thing. So
Yeah, I mean they had Halo,
yeah,
which was their big
Yeah.
thing, but
that it now.
I would really like it if the Ubisoft Game Pass thing was true, because that would be one. It would give access to hopefully give access to a lot of the older games,
Yeah,
and then they could work their magic on like the PC ports that are bad. Because I was playing, which one was it? Splinter Cell Double Agent, which is a really cool game. You play as a double agent in that game.
oh nice.
And you got to do things to keep both sides happy,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And it's a really cool balancing act to play around with. Something I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen more of, because it is a really interesting thing to play around with.
Yeah, it's a super interesting concept.
Yeah, but I was playing it on PC first, and the PC port is horrible. It is so bad. It is truly abysmal. It like crashed a couple of times, and it even hard crashed my PC once. So I had to completely like turn off and
Mate, I haven't
completely
had a
restart.
hard crash in years.
Me neither. I think that's genuinely the first hard crash I've had on this PC.
Yeah, come to think of it, I don't think I've had one on this computer. I feel my laptop used to hard crash all the time.
Yeah.
But
Mostly down to heat. Mine was.
yeah.
But no, I plugged back in my Xbox Series One X, and I'm playing it through there, and it's baffling. It's baffling to me because my PC is about the same spec as a One X is.
Yeah.
I updated it not too long ago, like new graphics card and stuff like that. and it baffles me that game, and it's the only one in the series that's like that. All the rest are fine, but it baffles me that game is just so bad
Yeah.
because
There must just be one dodgy bit of coding in there for something.
possibly because it's made by the same team that actually made the normal Xbox 360 and PS3 versions.
Yeah.
Because there is a PS2 version that's slightly different, but it's just so bad. It is just so baffling to me, because like you said, it's all made on PC generally, and everything, all the other games work fine.
Yeah.
But it just so happened this one that I needed to play for a specific reason is the one that is terrible.
Yeah.
And it was such a shame because it was making my life a bit easier because I could capture it all through there and stuff. But it was so disappointing. Yeah, just if they do get onto Game Pass, that is something that they can fix.
Yeah.
As they've already proven.
Yeah. Which would be
and
great.
It could do wonders for other games. And it could also do wonders for preservation of games as well, because that's something that's come up recently with PlayStation announcing the PS3, PSP, and PS Vita stores closing. They said there's something like 2,000 games that are just going to be completely gone.
Wow.
If you don't, if you haven't bought them and downloaded them, there are 2,000 odd digital only games that are just going to be completely gone.
That's a madness.
Yeah, it's such a shame. It's really annoying there isn't a built-in way that they could preserve that and move them across. Because I can't remember what they said, but there is...
Well, even if they just
PS2, they've got games.
The things, you can still download things out of archive. Well, I guess they've still got to hold the storage then, haven't they?
Yeah, you can still download things you've bought.
Yeah.
So it's not like...
oh, right, okay.
If you purchased anything, that's gone. But it is just like these games that are solely like digital games are just going to be completely gone unless you own them.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of frustrating that there isn't, Xbox have done really well with their backwards compatible stuff, and Game Pass is a big help on, having some of their older games on there.
Yeah.
And it's just a huge shame that PlayStation don't have that sort of, that same thing. They've done it between the PS4 and the PS5. And they've kind of done it with the PS2 because you can play a lot of those through PlayStation Now and download a lot of those. But PlayStation 3 is the black sheep in that you cannot download PS3 games for some reason. I can't remember why it was off the top of my head. There was a specific reason.
Super weird.
Yeah, a lot of PS3 games.
Again, it's going to come down to like a little bit of coding difference, isn't it? And it's just like this conflicts
some
with that too
thing.
much.
Yeah.
Which it's a shame.
It's just such a shame because there's no doubt some gems in there that are going to go missing.
Yeah.
And as said, with Game Pass, they do improve the games. Or they can improve the games that are on there. Like Nier Automata came out like 3-4 years ago now, I think it was. And it's only just come out on Game Pass PC, and they've, for all intents and purposes, they've fixed the issues with it.
Yeah.
I've been playing it, and I've had no issues at all with it on through Game Pass.
That's pretty sick.
It's just such a shame that PlayStation and Jim Ryan, who's the head of PlayStation, he just does not care about backwards compatibility or old games or anything like that. He doesn't think, as much as people want them, he just doesn't think it's actually important and that people actually want that.
Well, I guess it's because he can't slap a £70 price tag on a pre-existing game.
Yeah, maybe. But then...
That's the cynical outlook anyway.
But then they have done something kind of clever in that when, take Horizon, or even Days Gone is the latest one, when that kind of reaches its limit and it's not really pushing, it's not really doing any kind of sales anymore, PC port is what they do.
Yeah.
So we have got a Death Stranding PC, not Death Stranding, sorry, Days Gone PC port coming, and that is an option.
Yeah.
It is just a shame that it has come quite late. So, you know, these couple of thousand games are just going to disappear, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it sucks because like I said, there are probably some very good games in there, and they are just going to be inaccessible. It's like when Xbox shut down the Xbox Arcade, the online thing, and loads of games just completely disappeared from there.
Nuts. Because I mean, like, if I was to break out my 360, I've got a bunch of like really weird Indian arcade games on there. But yeah, no, because you can't, like, you know, I've still got the games because I bought them and I've got them downloaded already. But yeah, can't access it anymore, can you? Because I remember there being just, especially in the indie side of 360, like, I think indie games and indie developers were like in their heyday with the 360 indie games.
Yeah, it's where they really started to kick off. I mean, even like stuff like the recently re-released Scott Pilgrim game was something that was quite big on there.
Yeah,
and it's taken them 10 years to actually bring it back.
Madness.
So it is a shame because so many very good games in all likelihood are just going to completely disappear, and it's probably not going to be until after the fact that it actually starts coming out. It's like, oh yeah, this game was fantastic, but there's no way of playing it anymore, because a lot of those will be PlayStation like digital exclusive, because they would have probably helped like fund the development and stuff like that. It's such a big shame, because it is an issue that has been brought up a load of times with things going more digital now. Is what happens when that digital marketplace just shuts, that all those games just kind of go into a limbo. But yeah, absolute shame. And that is, again, is another benefit of Game Pass. Older games are somewhat preserved on there and made better in some cases.
Yeah.
So hopefully it won't be too long until PlayStation, I don't know. I don't know if they actually will have their Game Pass alternative.
I
they have
it.
PlayStation Now, and it's a bit iffy. It's okay. Like game wise, there is more reputable games on there. You know, you got stuff like Last of Us.
Well, I thought there was a decent selection on there from the minute I first looked at it, which admittedly was like Christmas time.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's got a pretty healthy selection of stuff on there. There's certainly enough on there to warrant it's. I mean, it's quite cheap, isn't it? It's like $5.99, $8.99, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's worth. I think it's worth.
It's just, I think the only reason they don't maybe push it as much is because they don't want people getting the wrong impression of, hey, it's like Game Pass, but for PlayStation. It's like, yeah, it kind of is, but you don't get, the big releases day one, because those big releases sell very well on their own anyway.
Yeah.
So they don't really have a need to put it on. Because I mean, even like God of War, for instance, isn't on there just yet. I don't.
Yeah,
think.
I mean, it doesn't need to be on there though, because like it's like you say, if you want to play that game, you're gonna pay for it and you're gonna play it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is kind of one slight downfall of Game Pass, is that it doesn't have like killer games like that just yet.
Yeah.
For me it does with Nier Automata, because I think that's an incredible game. But it doesn't have its own, you can only play this here sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just yet. Whereas obviously, like I said, Nier Automata was a PlayStation exclusive for a while. But hopefully, in the next year or so, we should see a good number of Game Pass exclusive games, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're good. Only time to tell. Or maybe we'll even get some Ubisoft games on there. Just to end up, what would you say is your favorite Ubisoft game?
Easily for me, it is Black Flag. Any day, yeah. I think that was just an amazing game all round. Like, even when you was doing the more, I mean, obviously take away the modern day shit, strip that out. But when you're doing the more,
I mean, even then, there was only a little bit in Black Flag.
oh yeah, there really was.
There were tiny bits.
But yeah, strip that out. Even when you're doing the more assassins-based missions in the game, you know, it still felt fine. It felt fluent with the story as well. The only thing that was a little bit questionable was Billy the Kid. I felt like they was taking that character in one direction and then just was like curveball. I was like, we need to make some coherent sense. Curveball. Yeah, no, it was fine though. It's a good game. All in all, good game. As you said, the ending was a little bit weak.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Like I said, the ending was kind of
whack.
It was Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I really didn't need that.
What about you? I'm guessing it's either Splinter Cell or Rayman.
No, I'm actually going to go with Watch Dogs 2.
Oh, okay, fair.
I adore that game.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible. Splinter Cell Blacklist I really liked, but it wasn't fantastic sort of thing. It did kind of deviate a bit from what I liked about Splinter Cell, but it was still Splinter Cell and I did enjoy that. But no, Watch Dogs 2 I think is incredibly underrated. I think I would love for the Game Pass thing to happen just so people could be able to access that for free in quotes.
Yeah.
And just because it's one of those where the world itself is really, really well done because it's based in San Francisco. And I listened to a bunch of podcasts of people that is based over there, and they said how bonkers it is. Kind of like the same sort of level of the New York City in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They did a really good job, and there's so much to interact with in that world. There's so many really good characters. I really think if they pushed forward with that and kept improving it in the way that 2 improved on 1, I genuinely think they could have had an alternative to GTA.
Oh wow. Okay. Big talk.
but-
Big talk.
Yeah, man, I don't know what it is with the alternatives to GTA, but they just die.
Yeah, I mean,
Like the same thing
Saints
happened
Row
with
had-
Sleeping Dogs.
Oh, I didn't really delve into Sleeping Dogs. Saints Row made a pretty good run of it though.
Yeah, but they changed hard. They became more like Yakuza in the end. They embraced the silliness.
Yeah.
Not that it was a bad thing. That fitted them really well.
Well, it's weird
really
actually because like you really would have thought back in the day that GTA would have gone down the silly route more, but it actually wound up hitting at like pretty serious storylines alongside, obviously it's full of its bullshit and nonsense, but
Yeah.
it did hit some pretty strong stories. I mean, Franklin comes from a poor background. Basically, GTA 5, all of the characters, it makes sense why they're doing what they're doing. Obviously, Trevor's your curveball guy, but he's still just fantastically mental.
Yeah. I think with GTA 5 they kind of hit a thing where none of those characters were strong enough to carry the game on their own, but it was fine because they kind of complemented each other well enough.
Yeah.
And they were like kind of they were the different kind of styles of Grand Theft Auto game through the years. Like you said, Trevor is your more just very early just rampage mode sort of thing. What's the white guy called?
I don't remember.
Something.
Oh, Michael.
I want to say Frank, but I don't. Michael.
Yeah.
I want to say Frank. I don't know why. But Michael was your more like Vice City, San Andreas. Well, he was more Vice City than San Andreas. But he was your Vice City kind of style, and then Franklin was your San Andreas come up sort of dude. I think they're all cool. I would kind of like to see the next Grand Theft Auto continue Franklin. I think that could be cool.
I want London.
But
I just want London.
maybe. Yeah.
I just want to razz around London.
I think a new environment like that would be cool. What would they call it though? Because they wouldn't call it London. They'd call it something else.
I don't know. Lost London. The Getaway. They call it the Getaway. Grand Theft
Oh,
Auto,
man.
The
A new
Getaway.
game would be dope. I'd love a new Getaway game.
Do you know what? Okay, I shout on remakes quite a bit, but I'd happily take a Getaway remake.
Yeah, I would as well.
Even with the
That would be
bloody
very cool.
panting and breathing mechanic.
Oh yeah, just leaning
Yeah.
against the wall.
Oh god, I've been shot a few times. Let me rest on this wall. I'll be fine.
Yeah. Turns out that's not realistic at all. Oddly.
Well, I mean, I've not been shot yet, but when I do, I'll give it a go and I'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, that would be good research for one day. Maybe it does work. Who knows? But that will do us for episode 6 of the Game for All podcast. Let us know what your favorite Ubisoft game is in the 35 years of that company existing and doing bits and pieces. And I honestly think they are on a pretty good run. I think, like I said, they're at this weird stage where I think maybe they're even a bit underrated because it comes out and it's just like, it's another good Ubisoft game.
Yeah, or you don't even realise it's a Ubisoft game. It's just like, hey, it's a game.
Yeah. I think, like I say, if they spread them out a bit more, I honestly think as well, if they renamed the last 3 Assassin's Creed games, the more RPG heavy ones, that would have probably helped a bit as well, because it would kind of perk up and take notice, like they did. People kind of did that with Immortals Phoenix Rising, which has a terrible name.
Yeah.
It was going to be called Gods and Monsters originally, which I much preferred, but reasons and stuff. People kind of took notice of that because it was a new property. I think, even if it was just a case of renaming these games, I think it would have made people take notice of them a bit more, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they are super popular anyway. But yeah, what's your favorite Ubisoft game? Let us know in the comments. As always, any questions, concerns, anything like that, send it over to esgvids@gmail.com. And we will be back next week. Take care and bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.